all ages, the Logos was with God.
Why God is
The Father is the source, the Son is begotten, the Holy Spirit is proceeding.
Welcome our dear youth in a new episode of our program Everlasting Word, in which we have the pleasure to meet our Metropolitan Bishop Bishoy. His Eminence is the Secretary of the Holy Synod and a Professor of Dogmatic Theology and Theological Dialogues in many of our seminaries. He is the Metropolitan of Damietta. You are welcome, Your Eminence.
Welcome, Father Bishoy.
Welcome. In last episode we have discussed verse 18, chapter 1 of Gospel John, and still we have many questions about this verse. So please, I read it again. Yes. No one has seen God at any time. The only begotten Son, who is in the bosom of the Father, has declared him. We have discussed last episode, no one has seen God at any time, and you have explained that God here means the Father. Yes. Now my question is about the term. Why is this term especially, the only begotten Son? Is it different to say the Son? Is it enough to say the Son only?
God has many sons, but these sons are by adoption, angels and human beings. We are children of God. We say, our Father who art in heaven. But the only begotten here is coming from a Greek term, monogenes. The only begotten Son, or the only begotten God, in the ancient manuscripts and in the Coptic translation, it is the only begotten God. But nevertheless, leave this now. We concentrate on the term the only begotten. Monogenes. Mono means only. Genes means race or nature.
Yes.
So the translation is insufficient. It means the only begotten with the same essence, with the same
Father.
of the Father. That say that is no being in the whole world, no person in the whole world, even the Holy Spirit is born from the Father with the same essence of the Father, except the Son of God, the only begotten Son of God.
Even the Holy Spirit?
Even the Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit is proceeded, not begotten, not born, but proceeded, like birth and emission, for example. Now, the Holy Spirit is carrying the same essence of the Father and the Son. So they are one in essence, one and the same. But away from the Holy Spirit, we say that God has many sons, but there is only Son who carries his same essence, his same nature. He is in one being with the Father. Genos, monogenes, and genesis, genesis and genos, are two Greek terms. Genos means race, and genesis means birth. To give birth. Both are coming from an ancient Greek term, genau. Genau. Genau means the descendants.
Generations?
The descendants. When somebody is giving birds, even birds, animals, by any means. The Arabic term is zurriya.
Yes.
So from Genav came Genos, which means race, kind, mankind, bird kind, race. Genos. And the term Genesis, which means to give birth. Both are coming from the same origin, Greek origin. Genos and Genesis. So monogenes means the only one born with the same race.
With the same essence.
With the same essence. So even if we don't say monogenes Ios in Greek, it means the only begotten Son. But Eos is added to assure that he is the Son. That's why when I say the monogenes Theos, it is the only begotten God. That says the only God coming forth from the Father by birth, carrying his essence. Because there is another person in the Holy Trinity who is the Holy Spirit, but coming by procession, ekporepsis in Greek. Ekporepsis, not genis.
Not begetting.
Not genis, but ekporepsis.
And that's why he said the only begotten Son. Who is in the bosom of the Father? What is meant by the bosom of the Father?
The bosom is the inner womb. Inner womb. In the Psalms, God is saying, from the womb before the star of the morning, I gave birth to you. Let's say before creating all the stars and planets on the earth, I gave birth to you from my womb. But at the same time, in the verses of the Psalms, he is saying, you are my son, and today I have given birth to you.
Yes.
Today, and before the star of the morning. That is before all ages. He is born before all ages, but this birth is not a historical event which happened in the past and is finished, but it is a reality which is beyond the time, above time, which is continuous.
Continuous.
So the ray is begotten from the light, but it is not begotten and stopped. It is begotten and continued.
Yes.
In order to give light. So the birth of the sun is not an event, it is a reality. A reality above time and beyond the time. Continuous.
And continuous all the times.
Continuous and before all ages. So,
yes.
What is your question?
The bosom of the Father.
Let's just say from the person of the Father, from the inner reality of Him, They say from the hypostasis of the Father, the Son is born carrying the same essence of the Father. It is not a superficial birth. It is not like the birth of some words from your tongue, something superficial, but it is coming from your reality, from your inner entity. I mean about
Yes.
the Father.
Yes.
So to differentiate between superficial birth and essential birth. Essential birth. That's why he is called monogenes.
So the next part is he who is in the bosom of the Father, he has declared him.
But before we go on,
Yes.
I was giving a remark that in Nestle and Allen and the United Bible Society prints now, it is written, the only begotten God who is in the bosom of the Father, not the only begotten Son. The only begotten Son is in chapter 3.
Yes.
But in chapter 1 it is the only begotten God. It is in Papyrus 66, Papyrus 75, coming from Naga Hammadi, from Dishna, Naga Hammadi, in museum, Podmore Museum in Geneva, and now in the British Museum in England, this very ancient papyrus in Greek, Papyrus 666 is from the middle of the 2nd century,
Yes.
and the other one is at the end of the 2nd century. So both are only few years from the first manuscript written by St. John himself. The Gospel of John was written in the year 98 AD. 98. So one of them is 52 years from the first copy, and the other is more 50 years, 102.
Yes.
So the most ancient chapters of St. John in the whole world are saying the only begotten God. And that's why now the Nasr and Greek text published by published in Germany and confirmed by the United Bible Society is following the Coptic translation, which is P monogenes in nuti, not P monogenes in shir. The Coptic translation is one of the most ancient translation of the New Testament, but I say it is the most ancient.
Yes.
And in it, this verse is the on P monogenes in nuti, which means the only begotten God. Now, the most recent discoveries of the ancient manuscripts and the most recent agreements among the scholars of the scriptures, I mean the translations of the scriptures, that they agreed together and put it in the Greek text even, as it is in the most ancient copies in the world of St. John Gospel. Monogenes theos, not monogenes theos.
Yes.
And this would show that not only in the first verse of St. John, that and the Word was God, but in verse
18.
18 is the same chapter,
Yes.
He is the only begotten God, not only the only begotten Son. The term in the bosom of the Father would show something very important, that while He is speaking, while He was existing on earth, at the same time He was in the bosom of the Father. On earth according to His humanity, but since He is omnipresent, that's to say, present everywhere in the world, so He is incarnate and declared the Father, and at the same time He was in His bosom. He is everywhere.
Yes.
Not only on earth, and not separated because of His incarnation.
Yes, thank you, Your Eminence. Thank you, our viewers. Hoping to see you in a next episode of our program. Our email is before you on the screen. You can be with us by your comments and questions. Thank you.